Member. On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 215. The motion is not adopted. The question is on passage of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is not.
I would ask for the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. Vote, the yeas are 223 and the nays are 206. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on passage of House Joint Resolution 72, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title of the joint resolution.
House Joint Resolution 72, joint resolution relating to a national emergency by the President on February 1, 2025.
The question is on passage of the joint resolution. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 219 and the nays are 211. The joint resolution is passed. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is on the question of agreeing to the motion to recommit on H.R. 261 offered by the gentleman from California, Mr. Carbajal, on which the yeas and nays were ordered. The clerk will redesignate the motion.
Motion to recommit H.R. 261 offered by Mr. Carbajal of California.
The question is on agreeing to the motion to recommit. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 216. The motion is not adopted. The question is on passage of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The bill is passed. For what purpose?
Yeas and nays. Request the yeas and nays. Is that what?
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 218 and the nays are 212. The bill is passed without objection. A motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Without objection, the title is amended. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the question on agreeing to the motion to commit on Senate 1383 offered by the gentleman from New York, Mr. Morrell, on which the yeas and nays were ordered. The clerk will redesignate the motion.
Motion to commit Senate 1383 offered by Mr. Morelli of New York.
The question is on agreeing to the motion to commit. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 217. The motion is not adopted. The motion is on passage of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask for the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. I don't know, I got stuck. The clutch. You think I hadn't done this before? No, it's funny that sometimes you do that, and then this looks like subtitles or whatever, like in a book, references. Yeah. And I just kind of clutched on that one. This one will be interesting. I'm curious how we pull some dams. We did 4 last year. As I was saying, I don't know if you were standing here when I was talking about the polling on this, but 71 or 72. I know I would. They said they could hear us on TV. Minute remaining. On this vote, the yeas are 218 and the nays are 213. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Illinois seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on House Administration be discharged from further consideration of H-Con Res 72 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
The clerk will report the title of the concurrent resolution.
House Concurrent Resolution 72, concurrent resolution authorizing the use of Emancipation Hall in the Capitol Visitor Center for a ceremony as part of the commemorative of the Days of Remembrance of Victims of the Holocaust.
Is there an objection to the consideration of the concurrent resolution? Without objection, the concurrent resolution is agreed to, and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Illinois seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn to meet at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Without objection. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that I may hereafter be considered as the first sponsor of H.R. 3370, Protect Firefighters Act, and H.R. 1742, Access to Reproductive Care for Service Members Act. These bills originally introduced by Representative Sherrill of New Jersey for the purposes of adding co-sponsors and requesting reprints pursuant to Clause 7 of Rule 12.
Without objection. Now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the newly appointed Georgia State and Superior Court judges. These judges are all accomplished attorneys and legal professionals who are stepping into vital roles within the Georgia's judicial system. Among those appointed is a native of Brunswick, Georgia, in my district, Stephen Blackerby. Mr. Blackerby, who was a partner at Brown Reddick, will now serve the Superior Court at the Brunswick Judicial Circuit. Mr. Blackerby earned his Bachelor of Arts in English from Emory University and his Juris Doctor with honors from the University of Georgia School of Law, where he served on the editorial board of the Journal of Intellectual Property Law. He was also a member of both the Federalist Society and the Student Bar Association. Mr. Blackerby has devoted more than 2 decades of his career to a wide range of legal matters with expertise in representing local governments and serving as city attorney for multiple municipalities. Mr. Blackerby's experience is notable, and he will certainly excel in this new position. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recognize the community service provided by the men and women of the Yonkers East Yonkers Rotary Club. Every day they live out their voluntary efforts of the Rotary 4+1 test, ensuring truth, fairness, goodwill, benefit, and fun in their activities under the banner of service above self. Recently, the club raised needed funds for their community service projects, completing a 25-plus hour marathon filibuster, assisting families in need. The club is led by President Alan Gray, President-elect Ann Murphy, Vice President Jeffrey Landsman, immediate past President George John, and other key officers, Greg Arcaro, Christian Facetta, Philippe Charles, Matt Coppy, Alex Schnee, and many more. From the floor of the House of Representatives, we salute the Rotary Club of Yonkers, East Yonkers, and wish them continued success in all of their good works. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, request unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to celebrate Bailey Little, a 2023 Bellefonte High School graduate. Bailey recently received an American degree from the Future Farmers of America. Bailey is the first Bellefonte FFA member in nearly 2 decades to receive an American degree. She's been an active FFA member since her freshman year. The American degree is the highest FFA honor and is given to members for their dedication to their chapter, leadership, and community involvement. To receive an American degree, members must receive their state FFA degree, be an active member of their chapter for at least 3 years, and take part in various agricultural education programs. Bailey's FFA projects included raising beef, cattle, dairy cows, goats, poultry, and rabbits. Along with raising livestock, Bailey is a small business owner selling Western jewelry and clothing. Additionally, Bailey and her fiance raise beef cattle in Center County. Mr. Speaker, Bailey should be proud of her accomplishments, and it is a great example for FFA members in our community. Congratulations, Bailey. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Ohio seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today because the House just voted on the SAVE Act, which will make it harder for tens of millions of Americans to vote. Not non-citizens. Non-citizens can't vote. They can't register to vote. If they do, they'll be deported. Citizens, American citizens, are being denied their right to vote by requiring in this bill all kinds of paperwork to register, all kinds of paperwork to vote. So just 3 examples. If you're a married woman, for married women, there's 70 million Americans, women, with an ID that does not match their birth certificate. It will be harder for them to register to vote. Seniors, especially those who have been voting by mail, it will be harder for them to vote. College students, those who serve our country abroad would have to come home in order to register to vote. This is a terrible, un-American, undemocratic, honestly insane bill that the Senate should not take up. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Iowa seek recognition?
Requesting unanimous support to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor Sarah Root and express the relief of our community that justice has been delivered to her killer. In 2016, 21-year-old Sarah Root was driving home from her graduation when an illegal immigrant who was drunk driving at 3 times the legal limit struck and killed her. Her killer posted bail, vanished from the country, leaving Sarah's family without answers for nearly 10 years. Sarah should be 31 today, and in her memory, I fought to pass Sarah's law, included in the first bill signed by President Trump. Her bill is now law, and in February 3rd, justice finally came to her killer. He was extradited, convicted, and has been sentenced to more than 20 years in prison. As a father of 2 girls, I cannot fathom the pain Michelle and Scott have endured these past 10 years. Sarah's law is a promise to them and every American family that we will not ignore these tragedies, and we will act to prevent them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Too tall. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's what happens when you're short. Okay. Thank you. Well, I rise today with great gratitude for my Chief of Staff, Bradley Solian, who's departing my office after 12 years of extraordinary service to the people of Palm Beach County and our country. And Brad really has quite a story. He came to Washington having been a teacher in South Florida, and then he joined my office as an intern. He became the
legislative correspondent person, the policy advisor, the legislative director, and ultimately the chief of staff. What a role model for perseverance and dedication. And he's led with vision and patience, a steady hand. No matter the challenge, he's always been calm, with clarity and focus. But best of all, he comes to the office every day with a very big smile, and he lifts us all. And to Brad, I'm going to miss you dearly and wishing you great success. Everybody join me in wishing Brad great success on your new journey.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in honor of Yvonne Fedderson, co-founder of Child Help, a national organization dedicated to prevention and treatment of child abuse. Yvonne lived an amazing, divinely inspired life. In 1959, Yvonne was in her mid-20s and in the midst of a successful acting career. She and Sarah O'Meara, who became a close friend and co-founder of Child Help, were on a USO tour in Japan when they found 11 Japanese-American orphans kicked out of their orphanage. Yvonne and Sarah responded, finding them shelter and long-term care. What started as an effort to help these 11 children turned into a lifelong calling. Yvonne and Sarah went on to open orphanages in Japan and Vietnam, saving tens of thousands of children. In the mid-'70s, at the behest of Nancy Reagan, they opened their first iteration of Child Help in California. They have since created a nationwide network of assistance, including a 24/7 hotline, treatment centers, abuse prevention programs, and awareness campaigns. We are honored they chose to headquarter Child Help in Arizona. On January 23rd of this year, at the age of 90, God called Yvonne home. I count it as a tremendous blessing to have known Yvonne and witnessed the profound impact she had on the lives of our most vulnerable and on our community, our state, and our nation. Her legacy will endure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Howard Bennett, Camden City, New Jersey firefighter who tragically lost his life on the job last week. He served his community for 26 years, and he will forever be remembered as husband to Fran, father to David and Gina, a brother, a friend, and a protector. When it came to the fireboat, Howard's knowledge was second to none. He treated it like an extension of himself, ensuring that it was always ready for action. His fellow firefighters remember him for his resourcefulness. And when others thought something couldn't be fixed, Howard found a way to make it work. He was a trusted mentor to young firefighters, always willing to help, simply because that's who he was. Firefighter Howard Bennett served with integrity, humility, and heart. Today, I honor his service and extend my deepest condolences to his loved ones. May he rest in peace. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Seek unanimous consent to address House 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the Housing for the 21st Century Act introduced by Chairman Hill and Housing Subcommittee Chairman Flood, which passed the House with overwhelming bipartisan support. Housing affordability is a supply problem, and for too long, federal policy has made it slow and expensive to build new homes. President Trump and Secretary Scott Turner advanced housing reforms that cut blue tape, expanded supply, lowered the price of lumber, and brought mortgage rates below 6%. This legislation builds on that progress by removing federal barriers so homes can be built faster, economically at scale, without new federal spending. Today, it can cost over $100,000 before a shovel ever hits the dirt to build a new home, and builders often cannot build a home for less than $250,000. This bill modernizes house laws, improves coordination between HUD and USDA, expands manufacturing housing in rural communities, reduces barriers for veterans, and increases access to small dollar mortgages. So I was very pleased to support this important legislation. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Ohio seek recognition?
Unanimous consent to address the House and to extend and revise my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize the Black Chamber of Commerce of Summit County and its co-founders, Robert DeJournette and Misty Beasley, as Ohio's 13th Congressional District Champions of the Week. 1 year ago, I had the honor of attending its kickoff event in Akron, and I was truly inspired to see so many people support this catalyst for change. After an economic study was commissioned, it was determined that Akron's Black population, who represents nearly 1/3 of the region, yet the report highlighted through the Elevate Akron report that there was purposeful, intentional, and systemic exclusion from economic growth and job opportunities for Black people in the region. Left unaddressed, this gap has threatened innovation and prosperity, not just for Black Akronites, but for the entire region. Mr. DeJournette and Ms. Beasley created the Black Chamber of Commerce of Summit County to reverse that trend, enabling Black business owners to take their rightful place in the economic ecosystem with the right support, connections, and capital to allow Black businesses to survive and thrive. In its first year, the Chamber has counseled dozens of small businesses on finances and website development, helped them compete for national resources, and connected local leaders to maximize growth. Congratulations again to Robert DeJournette, Misty Beasley, and the entire membership of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Summit County on a successful first year and being named the 13th Congressional District's Champion of the Week. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in recognition of the Seattle Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald and NBC sportscaster Maria Taylor. On Sunday, these two graduates from Centennial High School in Roswell, Georgia, which just happens to be in my district, became Super Bowl stars. Mike and Maria also attended the University of Georgia, together where they began their respective careers as a football coach and a sports broadcaster. On Sunday, Mike coached his team to a convincing 29-13 victory, and Maria made history as the first Black woman to ever host the Super Bowl post-game ceremony. These achievements are a testament to their hard work, character, and outstanding education they received at Centennial. Mike and Maria, congratulations, and thank you for making Roswell proud. Go Knights and go Dogs. And I yield, sir.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise with a profound sense of pride and a touch of sadness. After 13 years of service to this body as a Chief of Staff, Richard Kirk McPike is leaving my office. Kirk has been the leader of my team since 2012, setting up the office, building LGBTQI plus political infrastructure, helping me earn the Veterans Affairs Committee gavel, and so much more. But Kirk's proudest accomplishments are not counted in the bills passed or titles held. They are measured in the many people he has led and mentored, from interns to senior staffers. And one of his greatest talents is knowing when to let go of great staff, understanding they sometimes need to grow beyond my office. And today, it is my time to do the same. Kirk, I will miss you, my friend. I'll miss your counsel, but I know you will serve the Commonwealth of Virginia as a delegate with the same intelligence and decency you brought to this House. Godspeed and good luck to you, and I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Illinois seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to recognize Sandra LaPointe, a 7th grade teacher at Westview Hills Middle School in Willowbrook, Illinois. I recently had the pleasure of surprising Mrs. LaPointe during her social studies class to honor her with our Constituent Spotlight Award. We started making these awards after the last election to try and uplift people who are bringing hope and joy and making us feel good about being Americans, because goodness knows we need those voices right now. And there is not a person in this chamber who doesn't owe a debt to the great teachers they had along the way, who taught them things, but more importantly, who taught them how to learn, made them excited to learn, who challenged them to ask questions about the world, because as James Baldwin said, no society progresses without those kind of teachers around. Mrs. LaPointe's nomination came from a former student who said, Miss LaPointe's class was the one I looked forward to the most each day. Her spunky personality always brought out the best in all of the students. So from your students and from your congressman, thank you, Mrs. LaPointe. You make us all better. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Ohio seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise during Black History Month to honor an extraordinary constituent, Mr. James R. Willis, a Marine, an attorney, and a true Cleveland legend. In 1944, Mr. Willis joined the Montford Point Marines, one of nearly 20,000 Black men who volunteered to serve immediately after President Roosevelt integrated the military. Despite facing racism and segregation, he served his country honorably. And in 2011, the Montford Point Marines were awarded the Congressional Medal in recognition of their service. After the war, Mr. Willis built a legal career that has left a lasting mark. For more than 70 years, Mr. Willis has practiced criminal law, becoming a legendary courtroom advocate, a national leader, and a mentor across generations. He argued 4 cases before the Supreme Court on protections against unlawful search and seizure, helping to strengthen the rights of all Americans. Even today, at the age of 100, he continues his life work. On behalf of a grateful district, I thank Mr. Willis for a lifetime of courage, service, and dedication to justice. And with that, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Michigan seek recognition?
To address the House floor for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
During Black History Month, we honor leaders who shaped our country, and I rise today to recognize extraordinary Black leaders from West Michigan whose impacts continue to guide our community. Ingrid Scott Wheatley transformed Grand Rapids by expanding equal opportunity in city government and helping build institutions that still protect fairness and inclusion today. Reuben Smart, one of the first African Americans to serve in the United States Marine Corps, went on to dedicate his life to mentoring young people as an educator, coach, and community leader. Dr. Fate Mack broke barriers as founding faculty member at Grand Valley State University, shaping generations of educators and extending his work globally to ensure children had access to education. Roger Wilkins, a civil rights leader and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, led national conversations on justice and equality at the highest levels of government and media. Helen Clater advanced civil rights and opportunity for women and families, helping establish institutions that continue to promote equity in Grand Rapids and beyond. These leaders remind us that progress is driven by those willing to serve, to teach, and to lead. Their legacy lives on in West Michigan and across our great nation. I am proud to honor these contributions during Black History Month, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Michigan seek recognition?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. We all know that right now, housing crisis is real for so many of our families across the country. And I know many of us in this chamber, especially those on the left, I have always said housing is a human right. To address this crisis, we know that we need action at every level of government, but many local communities need additional assistance and capacity. That's why I'm so incredibly grateful that the House passed our Housing Our Opportunities Housing Our Communities Act, part of the Housing for 21st Century Act legislative package. Our Housing Our Communities Act directs the HUD Secretary to establish a competitive grant program to support a wide range of affordable housing planning and implementation. For example, grants can support officials in crafting their housing plans, updating their zoning codes, or increasing capacity to conduct housing inspections so that new developments are completed faster and much more efficiently. This bill provides civil servants and policymakers with the support they need to make affordable housing a reality for so many of our communities. I urge my colleagues in the Senate to pass this legislation immediately and begin to address the housing crisis that is devastating our country. With that,
For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
I recognize the 40th anniversary of the Sakha Nakorder massacre, where 4 unarmed Sikh students, Ravinder Singh, Jilman Singh, Harminder Singh, and Balder Singh Multani, were shot and killed while peacefully protesting the desecration of the sacred scripture of Sikhs. The killing, which took place in the Punjab region of India on February 4th, 1986, was absolutely abhorrent, but the investigation was definitely deplorable. The victims' bodies were disposed of in secret, no perpetrator was ever brought to justice, and reports, commissions, and other inquiries on the massacre received absolutely no action. The Sakha Nakorder massacre continues to be a dark day for Sikhs in Punjab, but also for Sikhs right here in America. That is why I recognize the Sakha Nakorder massacre and the justice that awaits, not just the 4 students and their families, but for the Sikh communities at home and abroad. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back. Thanks, sir. Thank you, guys.
For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor the life of a son of Eastern North Carolina, Aaron Johnson. At just 30 years old, Aaron was more than an organizer. He was a bridge builder who believed that our rural communities deserved a seat at every table. He was a dreamer of big dreams and a fighter of hard fights who proved that you don't need a long life to make a big difference. While he left us far too soon, his legacy of empowerment lives on in many communities across our state. My heartfelt condolences go out to his mother, Mary, and his family as we celebrate a young leader who gave his all to so many. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Ohio seek recognition?
To revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I was privileged to join colleagues from both sides of the aisle this week in a House vote that was overwhelming in bipartisan fashion to end the damaging Trump tariff regime on Canada. The Senate had already taken the same action 3 times before the House measure was even brought up. Canada is our neighbor, our ally, our friend. They have fought at our side in every war for nearly 2 centuries. Our Great Lakes region and its economy is the 3rd largest in the world, like no other, with its industrial and agricultural bounty blessed for generations by the largest body of fresh water on Earth. Ours is the longest U.S. coastline with numerous ports, energy resources, cultural endowments, and unrivaled natural beauty. The American and Canadian economies are totally intertwined. Robust supply chains on both sides of our northern border make, grow, and transport everything from autos to lumber to soil to energy to food, even hockey teams. The damaging trade war with Canada has caused prices to rise, led to more job losses, disrupted trade, and caused tourism to drop 31%. These are no victories.
Time is
Mr.
expired.
Speaker, I just wish to say I voted to end this upside-down
The
trade
gentlewoman's time
mess
is
today.
expired.
Let's strengthen our economy, make life affordable again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life and legacy of my good friend, former Fort Worth City Council member and Mayor Pro Tem Gina Bivens, who was a beloved figure in our community and lost her life on February the 9th at the age of 71 to pancreatic cancer. Gina was born in Fort Worth, and she was a proud graduate of Dunbar High School and later went on to graduate from University of North Texas. And she majored in journalism and communications and did an amazing job. Before she was on the city council, she had a background on some of our local radio stations and television stations, and a lot of people in the community proudly remember her from Soul 73, KKDA, AM. She will always be known for that amazing voice that she had. And then God gave her a calling, and she decided that she wanted to be in politics, and she ran for our city council, and she served with distinction from 2013 until 2025. She fought for housing. I know that she was very proud of her work along East Rosedale with Cavill Place and Hughes House, and that she worked very hard to make sure that we receive funding for that. She also worked very hard in transportation and made lots of great improvements along a major corridor in District 5, which was along Lancaster Avenue. She was a woman of deep faith. Her father was a very prominent minister in the Fort Worth area, and I want everyone to pray for her family. Her mom is still with us, her sisters, and her brother. Gina's always going to be known for her hard work and just everything that she's done throughout her career, her brave battle against cancer. And we're going to keep that family lifted up in prayer, and we will always remember Gina for just the amazing achievements that she made while she was here on earth. God bless her entire family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Arizona seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
I rise today to recognize an extraordinary Southern Arizonan, Rose Talton, recently named Volunteer of the Year by Southern Arizona Volunteer Management Association. Rose is truly the heart of volunteerism in Tucson. In 2025 alone, she logged more than 1,000 hours of service, positively impacting over 5,000 people across our community. There are few people I see more often at community events than Rose. Whether it's helping organize the annual Tucson Juneteenth Festival or volunteering at her neighborhood food bank, she's always there, quietly, consistently, with joy. From mentoring youth and distributing books to supporting families facing food insecurity, Rose shows up, not for the recognition, but because she believes in the power of community. Southern Arizona is stronger because of people like Rose. Her determination, compassion, and service embody the very best of us. Rose, thank you for everything you do for Tucson. We're grateful beyond words. And congratulations on your new grandbaby. I yield back.
Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3rd, 2025, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Torres, is recognized for 60 minutes as the designee of the Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor a true son of the Bronx and a shining example of the American dream, Mr. Haji Dukare. In 1988, Haji arrived from the Gambia with little more than hope and determination. He built a life rooted in faith, family, and unwavering service. A devoted husband, father of four, proud grandfather, and tireless community advocate, he has served in leadership at the Bronx Islamic Cultural Center and dedicated decades to lifting others up. For him, serving the community has always been a sacred moral obligation. Then came unimaginable tragedy. In January of 2022, the Twin Parks Northwest fires stole 17 lives, including 5 cherished members of Haji's own family. Yet in his darkest hour, Haji chose hope over despair. He united grieving families, clergy, and leaders to seek justice and foster healing. Haji Dukare embodies resilience. His life teaches us that even amid profound loss, community and service can mend broken hearts and strengthen us all. The Bronx is stronger because of him. Thank you, Haji. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor Cheryl Marie DeWitt, known to all as Miss D, as a true Bronx treasure and champion of our children. Born to a young single mother and raised by loving foster parents, Miss D learned early that caring adults can change a child's life forever. Inspired by that gift, she has dedicated her life to giving the same opportunity to others. For more than 20 years, as Executive Director of the Williamsbridge NAACP Early Childhood Education Center, she has provided nurturing, high-quality care to Bronx families facing hardship, never wavering through every challenge. A proud CSA member since 1994 and the Bronx Borough Chair for Center-Based Directors, plus an active leader in the NAACP Williamsbridge branch, Ms. D fights tirelessly for early education, equity, and community strength. Ms. D shows us that service starts with compassion. Her life proves the love we receive can become the love we give. Thank you, Ms. D. May your work continue shaping brighter futures for generations. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate Dr. Johnny Ruth Goff, a tireless educator, a visionary leader, and a true pillar of the North Bronx community. Born in Georgetown, South Carolina, Dr. Goff poured more than 3 decades of her life into our public schools as a teacher and administrator. She lived the conviction that education unlocks opportunity for every child, regardless of their zip code or circumstance. Beyond the classroom, her legacy shines through innovative programs like Feed the Body, Feed the Mind, launched in 1998. With her beloved Food Ranger character, she taught generations that good nutrition fuels sharp minds and stronger futures. As founder of the Jade Multifamily Circle Center and a dedicated activist, she created internships, mentoring, tutoring, and service opportunities that open doors for our youth. Guided by faith and compassion, she turned concern into action, supporting families, serving on boards, and building solutions where others saw only challenges. Dr. Goff reminds us that one person's unwavering dedication can transform a community and inspire generations. Thank you, Dr. Johnny Ruth Goff, for your extraordinary service and enduring legacy. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor a true champion of the Bronx, Nilka Martell. A proud Puerto Rican daughter of our borough, Nilka turned her lifelong love for her community into action. Since 2011, as founder and director of Loving the Bronx, she has built a powerful grassroots movement that put residents at the heart of the fight for justice, social, environmental, and economic. She chairs the Bronx River Alliance, leads Friends of Palin Bay Park, and serves on the Bronx Council for Environmental Quality. always amplifying local voices in decisions that determine our air, our parks, and our health. NILCA delivers real wins, securing over $10 million to rebuild Virginia Park and Hugh Grant Circle, and boldly leading the charge to cap the Cross Bronx Expressway, reducing deadly pollution, healing neighborhoods divided by Robert Moses, and creating new green spaces for our children. NILCA Martell shows us what's possible when community leadership meets unwavering determination. She is building a healthier, more connected, more just Bronx for all of us. Thank you, NILCA. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to honor a true pillar of the Northwest Bronx, Bob Bender. For more than 20 years, Bob has served with unwavering dedication on Community Board 8. For 13 of those years, he chaired the Parks Committee, turning vision into action. In 2007, when veterans raised the alarm about the crumbling Memorial Grove in Van Cortlandt Park, Bob didn't hesitate. He secured the grant, rallied support, and restored it as a dignified place of remembrance. But his work went deeper. He brought naturalists and schoolchildren together to study and safeguard the park's natural treasures. He championed the forgotten history of enslaved people who once labored on the Van Cortlandt estate, ensuring their story is now permanently honored and displayed in the Van Cortlandt Museum for generations to learn from. Long before the board, Bob was always giving back, feeding and clothing the homeless, coaching Little League, showing up when the community needed him most. Today, he still volunteers in the park week after week and fights tirelessly for a Hudson River Greenway. A proud Bronx native, devoted husband, and loving father, Bob Bender reminds us that our borough is built and sustained by people who never stop giving. Thank you, Bob. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to celebrate a remarkable son of the Bronx, Mr. Clinton A. Mikey. Born and raised here in Community Board 12, educated in our neighborhood schools, and now raising his own family in the same street he loves. Clinton is a Bronxite in every sense of the word. For 25 years, he served with honor and distinction in the Department of Correction, rising to the rank of captain through sheer integrity, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to public service. But retirement never dimmed his passion. Instead, he turned his energy toward his community, joining Bronx Community Board 12 and devoting the past decade to making it better. Today, as a proud chair of that board, he amplifies local voices, strengthens participation, and fights every day so that our neighborhoods thrive. Clinton Mikey embodies selfless leadership. Because of him, the Bronx is stronger, more connected, and more hopeful. It is my honor to recognize this true public servant. Thank you, Clinton, and may you continue to lead us forward. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor a true son of the Bronx, Tomas Ramos, a first-generation Dominican American whose life embodies resilience, justice, and an unbreakable community spirit. Born in Washington Heights amid the crack epidemic, Tomas faced displacement, poverty, and the devastating grip of mass incarceration and the war on drugs. Yet he transformed personal hardship into powerful purpose. He has dedicated himself to uplifting our youth, championing small businesses, advancing restorative justice, and expanding access to health care food security, and real opportunity for all. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck and too many were left behind, Tomas acted without hesitation. He mobilized donations to expand ICU capacity, delivered critical PPE to overburdened hospitals, and stood firmly for the Bronx when it needed him most. From that crisis emerged the Oyate Group, a nonprofit powerhouse he founded to educate, resource, and build sustainable solutions that break cycles of generational poverty. Through innovative programs in youth development, gun violence prevention, and community empowerment, Tomas has become a blessing and a beacon for the underserved neighborhoods of the Bronx and beyond. Because of Tomas Ramos, our community stands stronger, more connected, and more hopeful. He reminds us every day that dignity is not a privilege, it is a fundamental right. Thank you, Tomas, for your tireless leadership and your heart for the people of the Bronx. We in the Bronx are proud to call you one of our own. Mr. Speaker, for more than 20 years, Chauncey Young has poured his heart into our Bronx, building bridges between education, justice, and environmental equity. He began in Highbridge, empowering neighbors through mindfulness, meditation, and self-care at the Community Collaborative. Since 2016, as the director of the New Settlement Parent Action Committee, he has led the Healing-Centered Schools Working Group, bringing trauma-informed healing approaches into classrooms so that our students and teachers can thrive, not simply survive. Yet Chauncey's vision stretches beyond school walls. Since founding the Harlem River Coalition in 2009, he has coordinated tireless efforts alongside residents, organizations, and officials to reclaim our waterfront, clean our river, and weave an interconnected greenway system that will one day let every Bronx family walk, bike, and breathe beside the water. A proud Highbridge resident, devoted husband, and father, Chauncey doesn't just advocate for green spaces. He explores them with his own family, turning his work into lived joy. Because of Chauncey Young, our borough is greener, healthier, and more hopeful for the next generation. Thank you, Chauncey, for your unwavering devotion to the Bronx we all call home. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to celebrate a true beacon of hope in the South Bronx, Reverend John Udokan. In one of our nation's toughest neighborhoods, marked by deep poverty, hunger, and hardship, Reverend Udokan has turned faith into action. As senior pastor of Word of Life Christian Fellowship International, he leads one of the Bronx's largest food pantries, serving thousands every month. Through weekly distributions, hot meals, and unwavering support, he ensures seniors, veterans, working families, and children never go hungry or feel forgotten. During the darkest days of COVID-19, when fear gripped our communities, he opened his church doors as a lifeline, distributing food, promoting vaccinations, and standing strong even after his own family battled the virus. His compassion extends farther, advocating for justice, offering guidance to those drowning in debt, and fighting for the right to help those who need it most. Reverend Udokan embodies the power of service, resilience, and love. The Bronx is stronger, more connected, and more resilient because of him. I am proud to honor this extraordinary leader today. Thank you, Reverend. Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor a true daughter of the Bronx, a leader whose life has lifted generations. Shirley Fearon. Born and raised right here in our borough, Shirley embodies the heart and resilience of the Northeast Bronx. A lifelong educator, she dedicated her career to our children, teaching in general and special education, believing deeply that every young person deserves the chance to succeed. Her passion for learning didn't stop at the classroom door. It spread throughout our neighborhoods, inspiring countless lives. Shirley's commitment to service runs deep. As president of her NAACP chapter, a dedicated district leader for the 83rd Assembly District, and a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, she has championed justice, empowerment, and civic engagement for decades. But perhaps her most transformative legacy is the state-of-the-art Northeast Bronx YMCA, a facility she fought for tirelessly over many years as the co-chair of the Northeast Bronx Community Coalition. When it opened in 2021, it became a vital beacon, a place for youth programs, fitness, community gatherings, and hope. After 70 years without such a resource in her neighborhood, Shirley helped make it a reality. Guided by faith, family, and the timeless truth that to whom much is given, much is required, she has strengthened our community as a devoted parishioner, mother, and grandmother. Shirley Fearon's unwavering dedication reminds us what true leadership looks like: persistent, compassionate, and rooted in service. Because of her, the Bronx is stronger, brighter, and more united. Thank you, Shirley, for showing us the way. The Northeast Bronx and all of us are forever grateful. Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor a remarkable public servant whose life exemplifies faith, dedication, and selfless service. Reverend Dr. Gloria Bradshaw Brannigan, a Bronx native and the youngest daughter of the late Reverend Robert Bradshaw and Miss Janie Bradshaw, Reverend Bradshaw carries forward a powerful family legacy of ministry. As senior pastor of Mount Bethel Baptist Church, she leads a congregation with deep roots, serving Harlem's community for 84 years before relocating in 2015 to continue its vital outreach in the Bronx. Under her guidance, the church remains a beacon of hope, providing spiritual guidance, practical support, and unwavering love to countless residents. Yet her calling knows no borders. Reverend Dr. Bradshaw has carried the gospel internationally, preaching at the Exodus Christian Center in Uganda, touching lives far beyond our borough. Her credentials reflect a lifetime of disciplined study and commitment, a master's degree in biblical studies from Alliance Theological Seminary, completion of a CBI doctoral program, and ordination since February 1995. These accomplishments are not mere titles. They fuel her passionate vision for God's kingdom and for the flourishing of every person she serves. Mr. Speaker, and Reverend Dr. Gloria Bradshaw Brannigan, we see what true community leadership looks like, rooted in faith, driven by compassion, and tireless in action. The Bronx is stronger, more hopeful, and more faith-driven because of her work. She stands as an inspiring example for anyone who aspires to serve both their neighbors and their God. Let us celebrate and emulate her extraordinary contributions. The future is brighter because of leaders like her. Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor the extraordinary life and enduring legacy of Alonzo de Castro, a true pillar of the Bronx and a devoted public servant who's embodied the very best of American ideals. Born in 1926 on Tortola in the British Virgin Islands, one of 13 children, Mr. de Castro arrived in New York City in 1946 after serving honorably in the United States Army. Like countless immigrants before and since, he arrived with determination and built a life of dignity through hard work and service. He began his career at the Veterans Administration and rose through the ranks of the U.S. Postal Service, eventually becoming a director of 13 postal stations in Manhattan, a testament to his reliability, leadership, and commitment to excellence. In 1965, he chose the Bronx as his home and poured his heart into its civic life. He served as the state committeeman, district leader, and dedicated staff member to a former assemblyman. He helped found the East of Laconia Community Association, which has proudly awarded over 200 scholarships to deserving Bronx students, opening doors to brighter futures. Through St. Luke's Episcopal Church, he raised vital funds for education and community needs, always putting people first. His vision and persistence helped lay the foundation for the Northeast Bronx YMCA, a transformative community resource dedicated in 2021. As co-chair of the Northeast Bronx Community Coalition, he championed this long-awaited center, ensuring generations of residents would have access to programs that build strength, opportunity, and connection. Mr. Speaker, Alonzo de Castro, affectionately known as Uncle Al, symbolizes the promise of America: service, sacrifice, perseverance, and unbreakable community spirit. His legacy lives on in every young person who earned a scholarship, every family strengthened by the YMCA, and every corner of the Northeast Bronx lifted by his tireless efforts. The Bronx is forever grateful for this remarkable man who has shown us what it means to give back. May we all strive to follow his inspiring footsteps. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor Julio Pabon, a visionary, a fighter, and the heartbeat of the South Bronx for over 5 decades. Born in Puerto Rico and raised in our resilient borough, Julio never waited for change. He built it. He founded the Coalition in Defense of Puerto Rican and Hispanic Rights, the South Bronx Community Association, the South Bronx Congress, and Discovery for Justice, turning voices into power. A pioneer in bilingual media, he launched La Hora Deportiva, one of the first Spanish-English sports talk shows, and created Latino Sports, establishing the prestigious Latino MVP Award, now embraced by Major League Baseball, to celebrate Latino excellence when it was far too often overlooked. In a place too often defined by struggle, Julio chose to define the South Bronx by its potential. His legacy of vision, perseverance, and fierce cultural pride will inspire us always. Thank you, Julio. I yield back.
Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3rd, 2025, the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Kustoff, is recognized for 60 minutes as the designee of the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the topic of this special order.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, tonight I rise to honor Derek Bonham of the Weakley County, Tennessee Sheriff's Office, who was tragically killed in the line of duty. On January 30th, just after 3 a.m., Deputy Bonham responded to a shots fired call in Martin, Tennessee. This is nothing new. Derek Bonham had always answered these calls without hesitation whenever he was needed. When Deputy Bonham arrived on the scene to assess the situation, he was violently ambushed and fatally wounded. Indeed, Derek Bonham's death has been felt across Weakley County and across West Tennessee. In fact, the entire state of Tennessee. In the days that followed, thousands lined the street in a sea of blue to honor his sacrifice. Law enforcement officers from across the region stood alongside families and neighbors in West Tennessee to show their respect and their support for a brave man and a brave family. That tribute reflected the trust that Derek Bonham earned and also the impact that he had among his law enforcement comrades. After the shooting, Mr. Speaker, I spoke with Weakley County Sheriff Terry McDade. Sheriff McDade told me Deputy Bonham, and I'm going to read this exactly the way he told me, in quotes. Deputy Bonham, quote, was the guy that all sheriffs want to hire. He was a good, even-keeled law enforcement officer who lived his life in a godly way. Close quote. Derek Bonham lived a life defined by devotion to service. He took pride in his work and in what it meant to wear that uniform. We all know that law enforcement in our nation, it's a dangerous profession. Every time an officer reports for duty, they put their lives on the line for all of us. We're deeply grateful for the men and women in law enforcement who put that uniform on each and every day to serve their neighbors, often without recognition. Deputy Bonham was a loving husband to his wife, Nicole, and a devoted father to 3 children, Harper, Hayden, and Hudson. He was an Army veteran who served our nation and later became a deputy who served his country and his neighbors. Indeed, Derek Bonham understood that public service is a calling, one that demands courage and a willingness to put others first. Roberta and I continue to keep the Bonham family and the Weakley County Sheriff's Office in our prayers. Deputy Derek Bonham's legacy will live on through the lives that he touched, the men and women with whom he worked with, and the example that he set for the Weakley County community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Here he comes. Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3rd, 2025, the Chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Schweikert, for 30 minutes.
Sometime we are just scrambling because we had a whole speech lined up
we were going to do something just simple and pleasant for everyone. We were going to walk through Medicare financing for a while, and they wouldn't give me 3 or 4 hours to do it, so you're stuck with me for a half an hour. But then earlier today, CBO actually did their update. And, okay, let's see if I can make this make sense. When I come behind these microphones, I'm trying to explain sort of a unified theory that so often the political class behind these microphones say, we can do this. Okay, that may be wonderful, but you got to understand it all works together. Our demographics, our tax system, the fact of the matter is this incentive for this to growth, this incentive here, the adoption of technology. I need people to start thinking about the interaction, that there is not a simple solution to a country that right now is functionally borrowing about $74,000 every second so far this fiscal year. And when I say, sorry, let me rephrase, over the last 12 months. If you do just fiscal year, it's higher. A few hours ago, the CBO put out a report, and look, the report's actually like this. I just cheated. I just grabbed the executive summary because I didn't need the whole binder out here. And it's going to take me 3 or 4 days to read through everything. But I got some of the highlights for you. And this is important, and then it's going to tie into what we're spending. Your country is an insurance company with an army. That's both funny and happens to be mathematically true. In about 33 months, over half the federal spending will go to those 65 and up. Actually, in 33 months, I'll be one of them. It's demographics. We've gone about 30, 40 years with dramatically fewer children than we expected. I've done a series of presentations here on the floor where I've shown we actually have the same number of 18-year-olds as we had 20 years ago, but double the number 65 and up. Is that Republican or Democrat? Look, there's policies that have been engaged in by Democrats that help create this, but the fact of the matter is these are people. It's our reality. We have our obligations on Medicare, on Social Security, and for some that will be dual eligible because they're poor and retired, and we have some things that are terrifying. 6.5 years, the Medicare trust fund is empty. Your hospital will take an 11% cut. Medicare Advantage programs actually take something much larger. It's just the way the Medicare Part A trust fund works. 6.5 years, the Social Security trust fund is empty. And no one stole your money. We just don't have enough workers. It was a pay-as-you-go system. It's math. The fact of the matter is, yes, the money has been loaned to the Treasury. Treasury actually pays interest on that money. So twice a year, there's actually a fairly large dividend given to the trust fund. But it's demographics. We have the baby boomers. And so in 6.5 years, if we follow the law, there's a 24% cut coming to Social Security recipients, which will double the poverty of seniors in America. Our math is it will double the number of baby boomers that are homeless. It's absolutely immoral. But we're not allowed to talk about it, except for idiots like me who get up and week after week after week saying, please, my brothers and sisters here, there's things we can do. But the Democrats say, well, just tax rich people. And then you show the math is nothing like that. It doesn't work. So here's the CBO report. In here, it makes it absolutely clear, and I've been telling you for a year, but the scorekeepers have finally caught up with my joint economic economists. Remember, I chair the Joint Economic Committee. I chair Oversight and Ways and Means. So I'm blessed. I have a freaky smart staff. 2032, the trust funds are empty. Okay? So 2033, the first year where they're completely empty, if you said, we're just going to pay for everything out of the general fund, Okay, we can do that. My estimates come in at about $638 billion in 2033 just to make up the shortfall of the Social Security Trust Fund being gone and the Medicare Trust Fund being gone. So that's what, 60% of today's defense budget. Why is math such an anathema to this place? So let's walk through a couple other things here. I've only had time to produce a couple boards from the new CBO report, and then we'll try to tie these into what else is going on. So this year, we're basically going to spend 3.3% of the entire economy on interest. Interest. Now, and once again, this interest number is just the interest to publicly sold debt. Remember how I was just talking about the debt that we borrow the Social Security money, from the trust, and the trust fund gets IOUs from the Treasury, and we pay it interest, and then when the Social Security needs money, which they do every month because the tax receipts come in and your FICA taxes, and then there's a shortfall, so they cash that in every month. If you add up all the money and interest paid from the trust funds, I think this year is going to look more like $1.2 trillion in interest. Why that's important? What's the number one spend in America? Number one spend of your government, federal government. Social Security, it's going to come in about $1.6 trillion this year. Interest is your number two. It's going to come in about $1.2 trillion. Medicare is going to come in about $1.1 trillion this year, maybe a little more. Medicaid and ACA, Obamacare subsidies, are going to come in $900 billion. So those are your top four. Number five is defense. The thing that's actually in the U.S. Constitution is actually number 5 in hierarchy of spending. And one of the things CBO was trying to point out is their estimate is 9 budget years. So 9 budget years is 2036 from now. That we will go from $1 trillion of interest to $2.1 trillion of interest. So in 2036, so 9 budget years from now, the annual deficit will be about $3.1 trillion. $1 trillion structural deficit, $2.1 trillion will just be interest. The majority of future deficits are actually interest. Interest in health care are the primary drivers of U.S. sovereign debt. Will the bond market continue to finance this? So what happens when one of your greatest solutions is, can we actually have honest conversations about healthcare costs? Are we willing to legalize the very technologies, the methodologies of helping our brothers and sisters stay healthier and therefore use dramatically less healthcare? I've been coming behind this mic for over a decade, presentation after presentation of technologies, new pharmaceuticals, new methodologies to crash the price of healthcare, and I get the crap kicked out of me because armies of lobbyists don't like it when we talk about changing their business model. Remember, several months ago we did, and I came here to the floor and showed, we came up with a math experiment of, in America, how many duplicative MRI scans, ultrasounds, X-rays, CTs are there? And it was like the top end was looking like $36 billion in a single year. So why wouldn't you do something crazy? You get an MRI, attach it to this crazy supercomputer you put in your pocket, and then when you go to your next doctor, you put it up and it's up on their screens, and not get another one. Now, it turns out you get some folks that make money on the duplicative scans, they get very angry. But $35 billion over 10 years, $350 billion, and that's just one of dozens of things. Why is it so hard? Are we that afraid of the lobbyists? Are we that afraid of trying to explain to the folks at home, we don't have a choice? In 6.5 years, let's say it again, the Medicare trust fund is empty. You want to extend the life of the trust fund? Let's have a revolution on the actual cost of delivering health care. A couple other things that are highlights in the CBO report. They estimate in 10 years, we have 5.3 million people fewer in America. Mostly reduction in immigration and the fact that our fertility rates continue to fall. But think of this, that missing 5.3 million people is $500 billion over that time frame in lost tax receipts. So when I use the term demographics on our debt, it's a function. Our debt is a function of the fact our society's gotten older, we have substantially fewer children, we're going to have fewer workers, and there's actually whole charts I have here that actually talk about, and look, they're hard charts. This one was absolutely inappropriately designed to use on the floor, but it's trying to explain what happens in a society when we have substantially fewer young workers in our society and substantially more of those who are now 65 and older. It's just life, but we have to be prepared for what it means when the majority of federal spending will be going to those 65 and up in just a couple of years. Are we prepared for this? Of course we're not. So many folks still have a mind frame that's decades out of date of what we are demographically. And this is happening over the entire industrialized world. But in our society here, if I can raise wages, raise productivity of those who are in the workforce, I have resources to cover the promised benefits because we made a deal. We have a societal deal. We're going to cover Medicare. We're going to cover Social Security. Something I do want to touch on, and I didn't bring the chart on this. There's a lot of folks that think Medicare itself is paid for by your payroll tax. Okay, it's actually about 38% of that. So you as a medical enrollee, you pay like the total cost, depending if you're in Medicare Advantage, which is what, 55% of the population. The others are maybe in Part A and B. So 15% is sort of paid by the enrollee. 38% is paid by the FICA tax. So today's workers paying for today's retiree. The rest is borrowed out of the general fund. So you've got to understand a huge portion of our debt is actually paying for the health care. Sorry, my 3-year-old's trying to call me. Yes, I have a 3-year-old and a 10-year-old, so you know I'm optimistic. So when we talk about Medicare financing, most folks don't understand it is one of the key drivers of our debt. So let's actually walk through something. So several months ago, we gathered all the MedPAC reports, all the other reports on Medicare Advantage. We call it, it's Medicare Part C. I love a capitated model. A properly designed capitated model, which is Medicare Advantage, is designed so you have sort of a gatekeeper. That may be the insurance company, that may be the group of doctors, and their mission needs to be helping you be healthier. We do this in my state's Medicaid system. We call Access in Arizona. I was actually, at one point, actually did the budgets for that. The concept behind this is you align the incentives, that the incentives aren't to keep trying to find the highest reimbursement or charge things to the healthcare system. It's the incentive to, we're going to help our brothers and sisters be healthier. And if you're the insurer, you make profit because you lower utilization, because you had your enrollees, your patients, your members get healthier. That's not what's been happening in Medicare Advantage if you read the actual auditing reports. So we actually did a piece of legislation several months ago that said, instead of having this world where there's the risk scoring, and if you see there's actually now criminal investigations going on at Justice Department because people being scored as being much sicker, needing much more, and they're actually not sick. There's multiple criminal investigations going on at Justice Department, and I keep approaching the Medicare Advantage company saying, work with this. Could we get rid of the way we do risk scoring, the way we do these star ratings, where you use those things to pump up your compensation, and actually do it from enrolling? Let's get the actuarial models right. We'll build a shock absorber if someone gets really sick. We'll share the risk. But then the incentive to help the population get healthier and healthier, because we have technology, we have wearables, we have GLP-1s, we have other things you can do to help our brothers and sisters get healthier. But we have lots and lots and lots of data right now. When we're starting to see actually math showing, in 2025, almost $84 billion of new risk model implementation, basically saying this is excess spending. If you look at the MedPAC report, it's almost coming in at $200 billion a year. So we run around here saying waste and fraud. This technically might not be fraud because it's the design of the system. When Obamacare was passed, 15 years ago, or 18 years ago, it actually had a series of things in there that created many of these incentives to game the system. Now, the administration's talking about saying we're just going to do a cap. I want to try to sell this concept saying, why don't we align the incentives? Both the government incentives as the payer, the patient incentives, the doctor incentives, so we're all doing the same thing. We're lowering the expense by creating a healthier population. Because the fact of the matter is, if you look at the MedPAC reports, and I know they get mocked, but no one else seems to produce the actual data, it's almost $2 trillion a year. Remember, the MedPAC report comes in and says Medicare Advantage, when you do the risk adjustment, comes in at 120% of fee-for-service. That's a 25% gap. The original design in 2005 of Medicare Part C was supposed to come in at 95%. I know it's geeky, but this is stunning amounts of money. We will spend hours here arguing about millions of dollars. These are billions and billions, and over 10 years, it's in the trillions. Why is it so hard for this place to want to take on the things that actually would affect the crushing debt that CBO just told you is coming screaming at you? Remember, the CBO report here basically says in this 9-year budget window, 10-year budget window, your country goes over 120% debt to GDP, surpassing World War II. So we're going to fix it by little incremental things, or we're going to do it by a major reconciliation bill that actually takes on big issues, complex issues, real math? Or will we just continue to pander and not tell the truth about the scale of what's coming at us? So look, Medicare Advantage overpayments. So we believe this last year, just the overpayment portion was $84 billion. You start to see a chart like this, add it up, I actually have $1 trillion here for you. And then align the incentives, I can get you another few $100 billion of alignment incentives by changing utilization, by helping our brothers and sisters be healthier. That turns out that's real money. And look, I have lots of charts here, but I want to actually I'm going to skip around a little bit. Contributions to the proposed Medicare Advantage payment update. If there happens to be a lobbyist out there representing Medicare Advantage, come talk to me. This is what I think CMS is actually proposing to you, saying we're going to change the compensation, we're going to change your risk scoring, you're basically getting zero movement. Okay, This is what you get by not working with us in aligning the incentives, where you can make a profit by fixing the incentives within the system, or you can basically get a cram down. Which one do you want to do? You want to prove that you're a free market manager, that a free market system actually can deliver health care and do it better, faster, more efficient, and actually more morally. Because you give a darn about your patients. Or we can just basically say we're just going to pay you less. And then you figure out how you're going to put that through the system. Because this is the proposal coming at you. You didn't want to talk to me about trying to fix the incentives in Medicare Advantage, so now you're going to get this. I will argue, come talk to us about our piece of legislation. It's been out there for several months. You've had chances. We've had multiple PhD economists score it. We have a preliminary score from CBO saying it's probably about $1.84 trillion in savings over 10 years, making it the single largest savings bill in U.S. history. And I'm in a 50-50 district, and I'm doing bills like this because I can do math. Look, Mr. Speaker, instead of me walking through all this, did you see the job growth numbers today? They're actually pretty good. Did you see the punchline in the job growth numbers? So, 140-some thousand U.S. jobs, market added 181,000. It's absolutely terrific. A dominance of the new jobs that were created are in healthcare. The majority of spending in healthcare comes through government. Anyone see the circular problem of what we're talking about? If my growth in the unemployment or in the employment base is healthcare, and over here those jobs are financed through government spending, and that government spending is substantially borrowed, that's not a virtuous cycle. We have a structural problem. Remember, today your government is going to borrow $6 to $7 billion. This was supposed to be a year with the tariff receipts, with everything else. We were supposed to really start to pay down the deficit. Problem is interest. Healthcare costs have exceeded our models. We're still probably heading to a $1.92 trillion borrow. And turns out now CBO is catching up with the numbers I've been bringing behind this microphone for the last year. If we do not start to take this seriously, Mr. Speaker, we will have made the decision that the bond market, not us in Congress, not the White House, will run this country. Remember, we have to bring about $10 to $11 trillion of debt to market this year for refinancing, and we're going to issue probably $2 trillion of new debt. When the United States sells a 10-year bond and Greece sells a 10-year bond today, Greece has a lower interest rate than the United States. When the debt markets think Greece is more creditworthy than the United States, I don't know how to make it more simple. Why is it so hard to tell the truth about the math? Mr. Speaker, there's a way to stabilize this. We're not going to pay it off. The demographic headwinds make that almost impossible, but you can stabilize the debt. You just have to do complex, big boy things to do it. And one of the reasons I'm leaving Congress is I'm tired of smashing my head over and over on here on blunt objects of people that just stare back at you and say, but David, I'd have to try to explain that. David, You're not allowed to use the word Social Security and Medicare. It will upset people. What will upset people is when these trust funds are run out and they're seeing their benefits cut because we were too intellectually vacuous to step up and tell the truth, even though we've known this for decades. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'm actually going to go drink more coffee and do more reading. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Does the good gentleman have a motion?
I don't know if I qualify as good, but Mr. Speaker, I move that the House stand adjourned.
The question is on the motion to adjourn. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Accordingly, the House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.